I am as happy as a kid in a candy store right now because I legitimately just found out that I can use Freeform on my iPad and draw on my computer. That just blows my mind to smithereens. I freaking love technology. Anyways, what I wanted to talk to you about today is creating lead magnets that convert. At a previous agency that I worked at, I consulted with a lot of very, very, very early stage businesses. Like, in fact, they were so early in their business, I don't even think that I could count them as like a startup, right? But one of the things that I like is that constraints like that create a lot of clarity. And so we had to figure out how to help them get leads as fast as possible. But not only get leads that then convert into money so they could, become a startup. And so from working with hundreds of businesses like that, I found some commonalities, especially for businesses who are providing a service to their customers. And so what that commonality is there are typically 5 stages that your customers will go through, right? And so I just group them into, you have your beginners, and your beginners are people who, like, they don't know what they don't know, right? So it's I'll just use email marketing as an example. This would be somebody who has just started their business and they understand the concept of email marketing, right? Like like if somebody said, "Oh, do you do email marketing?" They would understand like what somebody means, but they have no idea how to get started. They don't have an ESP. The whole thing seems very, very overwhelming to them, right? Then you move into and so I put 0 there because they're literally starting from 0, right? They're starting from scratch. And then they move into stage 1, if you will, which is what I call your novice stage. And again, using email marketing as an example, these would be companies who have found, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clients, maybe more. They found product market fit. They probably have an email service provider, something like MailChimp, or something like that, but they're not using it. Like, they've got maybe a website opt-in or an email opt-in on their website that connects to the ESP, but they don't have consistent emails going out. They don't have any flows, but they're kind of a step ahead from the beginner, right? Then you move into the next group, which is intermediate customers. And these are going to be the people that have an ESP, they've got some automated flows, but they don't have like your content strategy piece, right? They've got the email opt-in, things are happening when somebody opts in. They may have like, an abandoned cart sequence, a push to schedule, those types of things. So they're definitely a step ahead of the novice. They're way ahead of the beginners, but they still need a lot of help here, right? And then we move into that third group, I guess technically the fourth group, which is going to be your advanced group. So these are people who are cruising along probably with email. Oh, why isn't that not showing up? There we go. These are people who are cruising along with email, and they've got their core customer journey flows done. They've probably built a few lead magnets that are connected to that, and so they can bring people into their world that way. They're probably sending 1 email a month, maybe 2 emails a month. They still, they are definitely more of an advanced user, but they still need help. And then you have the last group here, which hopefully this catches up, which is what I call the elite group. And the elite group is essentially, these people need specialized knowledge to continue to grow at this point, right? They have their flows figured out, they have their lead magnets figured out, they have consistent revenue coming in, and these people really need specialized knowledge. Now, again, from working with a ton of these early stage businesses, I'm going to go back, see if that catches it up. Okay, just paused it so everything could catch up. So, from working with all of these really early stage businesses, what I found the main issue with a lot of lead magnets is lead magnets are being created for the wrong stage. So, most people, when they are building their lead magnets, they build their lead magnets for this stage. And let me tell you, going from 0 to 1 is very, very hard. So, let me give you an example of this. As an email marketer and running an email agency, one of the most common questions that we get is, well, what email service provider should I use? Which one is best, right? And one, that's kind of like a loaded question to begin with. But two, it's not a good question for me to build any sort of assets around. Because if somebody is asking me that question, that tells me that they are in this beginner stage, which means they probably don't have any money to pay me to actually work on their account, right? Not in every case, but in 99% of the cases, this beginner stage, they want the free assets because they're hoping that they're going to be able to do it on their own because they have no money or very, very limited money to be able to spend on any sort of solution, right? And so that's why one of the first things that we do when I'm working with clients and we're talking about lead magnets is we start building lead magnets for these groups right here, the novice and the intermediates. Because this group right here, the intermediates, is the best group because generally speaking, they have money to spend with you, right? So that they can get results and you're going to have an easier time getting them the results, right? Because they have momentum, they have things happening for them in their business. And so when you're thinking about creating lead magnets that convert, you really need to think about this stage and really dive into what does my prospect's life look like in this stage for intermediate users, right? Again, using email marketing an example, these people typically already have an email system that they're using. They have a lead magnet that is bringing leads in, generally speaking, but their workflows are kind of like haphazard, right? Like they have one welcome email, and then they have one follow-up email, and then there's nothing, right? And then they wake up one morning and they're like, I'm going to send an email out to my list. And then they write the email and they send it out and nothing happens. And then they do it again and then nothing happens. And they do it again and nothing happens. They get kind of burnt out of email. That is the group of people that I want to build lead magnets for, because if I can solve their problems and become the go-to solution for them, it's very, very likely that they will give me money, right? Now, novice is another good group of people to create content for. They are harder to sell because they typically have less money coming in. They typically have less business momentum, but they're seeing momentum. They are established in a light sense of the word, right? And when you can create content for them and they implement that and then they move from the goal of the lead magnets for the novice people is to move them into the intermediate stage, where then they get very, very excited to work with you, right? Because they just implemented some of your advice and it actually translated into, tangible results, whether that's new revenue, new leads, more engagement, kind of whatever it is that you offer, right? So the first thing that we do when we're discussing lead magnets and things like that is we build lead magnets for the novices stage and we build lead magnets for the intermediate stage. Again, many, many, many people get stuck on their lead magnets because they're building lead magnets for this group of people, beginners, right? And we don't want to create lead magnets for beginners because they don't have any money to pay you, right?